Bloopers take one of aBlogtoWatch Baselworld behind the scenes. Zachary, first time here with us at Baselworld. What do you think?
There was a lot less hazing than I was expecting. No, it's a trade show. It's a big trade show.
Did you want more hazing?
No.
Okay.
No more hazing, no more watches. I actually, you know, with a lot of trade shows, you get tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. And I'm definitely tired of looking at watches. I never thought I would say that, but we saw there was a lot of cool stuff to see. There was a lot of interesting things. There were a lot of things like eyebrow-raising watches that I feel like we all kind of have our own various opinions on. But just generally speaking, there's a lot to take in.
Well, the funny thing for me, and we talked about this before, is that when I first started going to the show, I A, did not have a team, and B, the show was significantly larger.
Yeah.
How much larger?
3 times the size.
That's a pretty familiar refrain, but it's interestingly enough, like people are saying that there are more people at the show this year than last year. Like foot traffic is up versus...
By 8%.
Oh, 8%. Yeah.
So I think that there was definite downsizing this year, but I actually felt a lot of optimism, and I saw a lot of things that made me very happy. One, I've seen a real trend in return to value. Prices are going down significantly. In some instances, 50% or less of what they were a similar type of product.
Some examples?
Okay, well, so let's talk about the Swatch Group. That has always sort of been a value leader, and we met with multiple brands at the Swatch Group. And I guess it's very different sort of at the prestige brands, you know, with Blancpain and Breguet and things like that. They have, of course, a very different type of clientele. But all the other brands, your Mitos, your Tissot, your Hamilton, your Longines, Rado, not only prices that are much more where I've always thought they should be, a lot of under $1,000 stuff, but some great values, nice looking watches. There's still some totally ugly ones that were being shown.
But at least they're trying. I mean, at least they're doing something out of their comfort zone. Between 2 to 5 grand.
And you're also kind of seeing it even from the bigger brands. Like I feel like the new Seamaster 300, which you just reviewed and loved.
300M.
Yeah, 300M. Thank you. Was that they added an immense amount of value to it and didn't really raise the price in a way that you would expect that they probably would have in recent years. I mean, it's the way the new dials are laid out. There's a better movement in there, better bracelet, better everything.
This is a good example. 5 years ago, a watch that would have had the then sort of specs of a watch like that would have been 10 grand.
Yeah, I believe it.
How much is it now?
Under 5.
5.5, yeah, under
4.8,
5, under 5 on the strap.
4,850 on the bracelet.
4,850. That's impressive. The same thing happens with with some of the Speedmasters. I reviewed the Speedmaster Racing, which is a confusing name, but we all know what it is. It's a 44.25.
Yeah.
And it's 7 grand, and I distinctly remember it was 11 or 12 a couple of years ago.
For an inferior model. I mean, obviously it was great at the time, but this is an upgrade.
Yeah, and it's 7 something as opposed to 11 something.
So much great stuff, like I said, under $1,000. And there's a sense, not in Hall 1 or 1.1, but there's a lot of entrepreneurialism. You go to Hall 2, you go over to the Hyperion Hotel, it used to be the Ramada, and you see all kinds of new brands.
Hyperion was impressive.
There's a lot of cool stuff in there.
Yeah, and what's interesting is it used to be that the new brands came in at a very, very narrow types of price ranges. You'd have like new brands that were super high end, like it was just over $100,000 easily, and then you had new brands that were like really low end and boring that somehow made it here. Like, what's this plastic quartz brand doing here? And then you'd have not a lot in between. Now I'm seeing new brands, trying to compete at all levels. Like Le Rhone, for example, is trying to have kind of their competitor, the Royal Oak Nautilus. Yeah. A distinctive case shape, attractive. I didn't get a lot of time yet to spend with them, and hopefully I do. But I'm seeing stuff like that, and that's like a brand with like an image and like a watch for mainstream. Because I think a lot of the new ones were like for hyper like collectors.
We also kind of saw that trend at SAHH, did we not? I mean, even maybe a little bit last year as well, but like it had seemed that the acceleration of prices increasing and the value proposition decreasing started to meet somewhere kind of in the middle. And it seemed like that seemed to be a reoccurring trend at SAHH.
There's multiple demographics, right? So I think that the watch industry is getting back to the demographic that cares about value. there's this other demographic that wants stuff to be expensive.
Right.
The people that buy Patek are very interested in the fact that the watches are very expensive.
Right.
They're like, I want to make sure other people can afford this. Think of that customer versus like an Oris customer. The Oris guy or girl is like, you know what? I want the most watch for my money. The Patek Philippe guy, yeah, they want a nice watch.
I want a watch for the most money.
Basically, yeah. They're like, I want people to know I spent 80 grand, and it was like not possible to get it for under 80 grand.
Yeah, and they do a good job at keeping it at that, actually.
Yeah, they do a good job. We still have, well, 2 full days that the team is going to be at the show. We still have a ton. Each day is full of meetings. There's no way that we would be able to, in those days, see all the brands we want to see.
Yeah, that's
The problem with the show is, even though it's much smaller than it used to be, I would say that at best we do 40 to 50% of the brands that we actually would want to meet with.
And the photography and the videography, even though there's like 6 or 7 of us here, we just simply can't get to it.
Even if there was 24 of us here, I think the problem is that certain key people need to see everything. And if you just saw a narrow amount of the brands, you don't really get a sense of what's going on in the industry. You don't get the sense of trends. So I don't know that we'll ever be able to cover it. And I'll say to everyone out there who's a brand, like, you know, you need to reach out to us, not just at the show. I get that you want to like do business in person or talk in person, but we'll get on a Skype call.
Which is why we also got watches for review later on in the year.
There's
a lot of stuff
there's plenty of that, yeah.
Yeah, I still continue to think that no matter how depressing the market can get sometimes, there's still so much enthusiasm and being able to create something beautiful and to work with people in this industry are some extremely talented suppliers, designers, you know, decorators. There's just so much talent, and sometimes the industry isn't always there to support it properly, but the talent is really there. So we still have more stuff to see.
Always.
We are in desperate need of energy. Send energy to Basel. Contact us if you are curious about the types of energy we receive.
Either send energy or take notes for next year.
We're very open-minded about the type of energy we get. We require it. Okay, thanks so much for checking out our continued coverage of Baselworld 2018. We'll produce more content and see it on aBlogtoWatch.com.
That's right. And I might add, if you are here to hear about watches and, you know, millimeters and sapphire crystals and all this nonsense, you can find it on the blog, okay? So we are not here to film every watch in the hand and all that. You will find it here on the channel and you will find it on the site. This is more of the insight that I believe you don't really get anywhere else, because a lot of these issues that we just spoke about are happening big time behind the scenes, and if we don't talk about this, basically no one else will. And I think it's better to be aware of this when you're making your next purchase decision. So thanks again.